The gentleman from Iowa is recognized.
I thank you, Ranking Member Smith, and for working with us and calling this Republican Forum. The last time Democrats on this committee held a hearing on immigration impact on America's workers was May of 2007. The unemployment rate then was 4.5%, and in the ensuing 2.5 years, the unemployment rate has skyrocketed into double digits, and it's now at 10.2%. Yet the Democrats have not held one subsequent hearing on this vital subject. Today, committee Republicans will rectify this neglect, and we've begun to do so. It's our duty as members of Congress to debate policy, and we need to make laws and address the concerns of the American people. Protecting jobs and economic opportunity for Americans is one of the most important topics Congress can discuss. A comprehensive immigration reform bill like the one being drafted by the Senate, the Obama administration, and the Open Borders lobby will not protect American jobs or the aspiration of so many Americans to better their lives. Importing millions of poorly educated foreign workers will hurt our country and hinder our economic recovery. Americans are conditioned to believe that such immigrants are necessary to our economy because they supposedly take jobs Americans will not do. The reality is, employers hire desperate aliens who will work for much less than Americans, driving wages down and making it impossible for American workers to compete. Even Alexander Alienikoff, who was on the Obama administration's immigration transition team, is now dean of Georgetown University Law Center, has stated that it is a myth to say that there is little or no competition between illegal alien immigrants and American workers. And what about the claims that there are jobs Americans won't do? That claim is a slap in the face to millions of U.S. citizens who go to work every day, working those very same jobs side by side. And in fact, other than agriculture, the majority of workers are native-born Americans, even in the occupations that have the highest percentage of illegal laborers. 79% of all service workers are native-born. And according to the Department of Labor, the current unemployment rate for persons without a high school education is 15.5%. Their underemployment rate is a staggering 32.8%, which we've heard in I think, Carol Swain's testimony. Americans are willing to work at any job. The hottest, most difficult, dirtiest, and dangerous job in the world is rooting terrorists out of places like Fallujah, Iraq, Afghanistan, and our Marine Corps are out there doing that for about $8.09 an hour. And we're being told there are jobs Americans won't do. We have about 69 million Americans who are of working age but who are not in the workforce. And at last estimate, there, and this is a low one I believe, 7.8 million working illegal immigrants. We would only have to recruit about 1/10 of the Americans who are not in the workforce in order to replace the illegal labor in this workforce in America. About 1 out of 10 non-working Americans to fill the labor force if all of a sudden some morning everybody woke up in a place where they were legal. Some say enforcement hasn't worked, so our only option is to amnesty millions of illegal immigrants. But enforcement has never been truly given a chance because no administration has taken it seriously enough. And I can attest to that in that when the amnesty bill was passed in 1986, I made certain that we had I-9 documents and copies of those documents in our files for every applicant so that I could withstand a federal investigation or a federal review of my files. Of course they're covered with dust, and it's never happened, and now just yesterday they announced that, maybe this morning's press release, that ICE would start to do some audits of I-9 files. So when the federal government is engaged in enforcement, the boon to American workers has been obvious. You don't have to look any further than what happened after ICE worksite enforcement actions to see the practical effects. After an enforcement action at Georgia's Kreider Incorporated, the company lost over 600 illegal workers. But Kreider increased wages more than $1 an hour, and within days hired a third of that workforce, of the missing workforce back, 200 workers, and they continue to fill positions with legal workers. And just 3 weeks after ICE worksite enforcement action at Michael Bianco Incorporated in New Bedford, Massachusetts, 400 legal workers applied to fill 361 positions that were opened up by law enforcement. The companies were forced to raise wages and recruit local employees, many of whom had previously had difficult time finding jobs. The American dream means you are the driver of your own destiny, And you can work hard and smart to be successful, but you can't work hard and smart enough towards a dream if your job is taken by someone willing to work for lower wages or lower benefits and then have an entire occupation depressed by illegal immigration. Our focus should be on creating an immigration policy that puts the interest of U.S. citizens first instead of the interest of citizens from foreign countries, and to enhance the economic, social, and cultural well-being of Americans. I thank you, Mr. Smith, and for pulling together this forum, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Thank you, Mr. King.